Welcome, brave spirits, to Inspirational History, Stories of Human Triumph. Tonight, we embark on a journey that transcends time, reaching into the very heart of human courage. We'll explore moments when individuals and movements, faced with the darkest shadows of injustice, chose to stand tall, their convictions burning bright. These are not just tales of the past, but powerful echoes of the human spirit's boundless capacity for resilience, for demanding what is right, and for ultimately shaping a world more aligned with justice and dignity for all. Prepare to witness the unwavering resolve that can shatter the strongest chains. It's a quiet strength that can move mountains of prejudice, and the profound power of unity that can turn the tide of history. Let us discover together the courage of conviction, standing for justice, and more. Our journey begins not with grand pronouncements from leaders, but with the quiet, everyday courage of ordinary men and women in the mid-20th century. Individuals whose seemingly small acts of defiance collectively ignited a revolution in civil rights. We travel to the American South, to a time when racial segregation was enforced by law, ingrained in custom, and upheld by intimidation and violence. Imagine living in a society where your skin color dictated where you could sit, where you could eat, where you could learn, and even whether you could cast a ballot. This was the stark reality for millions of African Americans, a reality that demanded profound resilience and an unwavering spirit to overcome. Consider the simple, yet revolutionary, act of attempting to vote. For generations, various tactics had been employed to disenfranchise black citizens. Poll taxes, literacy tests designed to be impossible to pass, and direct threats of violence or economic ruin. Imagine yourself, a sharecropper or a domestic worker, living in a small town where the local white leadership held absolute power. The courage it took to walk to the county courthouse knowing you might be met with glares, threats, or the loss of your livelihood was immense. Yet they came, they tried. Their persistent, quiet attempts chipped away at a system designed to deny them their fundamental right, a testament to their deep-seated belief in justice. Their desire for a voice, for the basic dignity of citizenship, propelled them forward, day after day, through years of setbacks. Then, picture the scene at a lunch counter in Greensboro, North Carolina. In 1960, 4 black college students, simply wanting to be served coffee, chose to sit at a whites-only counter. This seemingly small act of defiance, a sit-in, was a deliberate challenge to the absurdity of segregation. Imagine the taunts, the slurs, the food and drinks thrown at them, the physical intimidation they endured day after day as they sat peacefully. Their resolve, however, was unbreakable. They weren't fighting back with fists, but with quiet dignity, with unwavering moral clarity. Their courage sparked a wave of similar sit-ins across the South, a testament to the power of nonviolent direct action. It was a clear, simple statement. We are here. We deserve to be treated equally, and we will not move. Think about the children, young boys and girls, who became pioneers in the desegregation of schools. Imagine Ruby Bridges, a 6-year-old girl, walking into William Frantz Elementary School in New Orleans in 1960, escorted by federal marshals through a screaming, hate-filled mob. Picture her resilience, her innocent yet profound courage. She faced such vitriol simply for wanting an education in her neighborhood school. Her daily walk, a journey filled with fear yet powered by hope, was a powerful symbol of a nation grappling with its conscience. Her story and the stories of countless other brave students highlight the immense personal cost of progress, yet also the unwavering commitment of families who believed in a better future for their children. Beyond these visible acts of protest, consider the resilience of communities organizing in secret. In rural areas where the threat of violence was constant and state protection non-existent, meetings would be held late at night in churches or private homes, lit by a single bulb or the glow of moonlight. Here, plans for voter registration drives were laid, strategies for boycotts were discussed, and support networks for those who lost jobs or homes due to their activism were forged. These were acts of profound communal strength, demonstrating unwavering faith in each other and a shared vision of a more just society. The quiet determination in these gatherings, the sharing of meager resources, and the collective prayer for strength, underscore the deep commitment that permeated every layer of the movement. The Montgomery bus boycott, which began in 1955, offers another powerful example of collective courage and sacrifice. For 381 days, thousands of African Americans refused to ride the segregated city buses. Walking miles to work, carpooling in an intricate system, or relying on taxis driven by sympathetic black drivers. Imagine the physical exhaustion, the economic strain on families, and the relentless pressure from authorities. Yet they held firm. Their unity and enduring willpower, born from years of indignity, ultimately led to the desegregation of the city's bus system. It was a triumph achieved not through force, but through a collective, unwavering resolve to disrupt an unjust system through economic and moral pressure. Their feet, tired and aching, carried the weight of a powerful statement about human dignity. These stories, often overlooked in the grand narratives of historical figures, revealed the true strength of the civil rights movement. It was a movement fueled by the moral clarity that segregation was wrong, by the unyielding desire for basic human rights, and by the collective willpower of thousands of ordinary people who chose to act. They faced immense challenges: intimidation, economic retaliation, physical violence, but their response was always rooted in an astonishing capacity for resilience and an unwavering commitment to nonviolence. Their courage, quiet yet profound, ignited extraordinary change, proving that the deepest transformations often begin with the bravery of ordinary individuals standing for what is right, day after day, with a clear conscience and an enduring spirit. Their legacy reminds us that fundamental rights are not simply granted. They are often fought for, piece by painstaking piece, through the sustained moral conviction of those who refuse to yield. From the collective, grassroots courage that sparked a movement, we now turn our gaze to a singular figure whose unwavering commitment to justice transformed not only a nation, but inspired the entire world. We explore the extraordinary life of Nelson Mandela, a man whose journey from activist to political prisoner to president embodies the triumph of the human spirit over oppression, the enduring power of hope, and the profound capacity for forgiveness. Imagine a nation gripped by apartheid, a brutal system of institutionalized racial segregation and discrimination enforced by the white minority government in South Africa. From 1948 until the early 1990s, black South Africans, along with other non-white groups, were systematically denied their basic human rights. Subjected to forced removals, denied education and economic opportunity, and lived under constant threat of violence and arbitrary arrest. It was into this deeply unjust world that Nelson Raleigh Lala Mandela, born in 1918, emerged as a leader. From a young age, Mandela was drawn to activism. As a young lawyer, he became a key figure in the African National Congress, a political party committed to ending apartheid. Picture him in the vibrant, often dangerous townships, speaking to crowds, organizing protests, and advocating for a just and equal society. He initially championed nonviolent resistance, inspired by figures like Mahatma Gandhi. However, as the government's repression intensified, banning the ANC and massacring peaceful protesters at Sharpeville, Mandela and others concluded that nonviolent means alone would not suffice. He helped establish the ANC's armed wing, Umkhonto we Sizwe, advocating for acts of sabotage against government infrastructure, carefully avoiding loss of life. This decision, a profound turning point, led to his capture in 1962. In 1964, at the infamous Rivonia trial, Mandela and several of his comrades faced charges of sabotage and conspiracy to overthrow the government. During the trial, Mandela delivered his iconic "I am prepared to die" speech from the dock. Imagine the solemn courtroom, the weight of the accusations, and then Mandela's voice, clear and resolute, declaring, "I have fought against white domination, and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve. But if needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die." These powerful words, uttered in the face of a potential death sentence, resonated across the globe, cementing his status as a symbol of resistance. Mandela was sentenced to life imprisonment. For the next 27 years, he endured the harsh realities of incarceration. Primarily on Robben Island, a desolate maximum security prison off the coast of Cape Town. Picture the small, damp cell, the backbreaking labor in a limestone quarry, the meager rations, and the constant psychological pressure from his captors. Yet even in solitary confinement, isolated from his family and the world, Mandela's spirit remained unbroken. He used his time to study, to debate with fellow prisoners, and crucially, to deepen his understanding of his oppressors, even learning Afrikaans, the language of his captors, to better communicate with them. His resilience in these impossible conditions, his unwavering commitment to his ideals despite years of deprivation, is a profound testament to the strength of the human will. Even from behind bars, Mandela's influence grew. The international anti-apartheid movement gained momentum, fueled by the moral outrage at his imprisonment and the injustices of the apartheid regime. Economic sanctions were imposed, cultural boycotts enacted, and a global chorus demanded his release. His very name became synonymous with the struggle for freedom. As the years passed and South Africa faced increasing internal unrest and international pressure, the apartheid government began to realize that Mandela was not a problem to be contained, but a solution that needed to be embraced. Secret negotiations began, initially tentative, then more substantial. Imagine the strategic brilliance required for Mandela, still a prisoner, to orchestrate these delicate talks from his cell, often with limited information and immense stakes. His ability to lead, to negotiate, and to inspire, even from within the confines of prison, was extraordinary. Finally, on February 11, 1990, after 27 years, 6 months, and 6 days, Nelson Mandela walked out of Victor Verster prison, a free man. Imagine the joyous outpouring of emotion, the cheers of millions across South Africa and around the world. But his release was not an end. It was the beginning of the most challenging phase of his mission, building a new democratic South Africa. Instead of seeking revenge for his decades of suffering, Mandela championed reconciliation. He worked tirelessly with then-President F.W. de Klerk, his former adversary, to dismantle apartheid and establish a non-racial democracy. His profound capacity for forgiveness became the bedrock of the new South Africa, guiding the creation of institutions like the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. In 1993, he and de Klerk were jointly awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. In 1994, at the age of 75, Nelson Mandela was elected the first democratically chosen president of South Africa, a truly monumental moment. Imagine the triumph, the symbolic power of this former political prisoner leading a nation he had fought so hard to liberate. His presidency was marked by efforts to heal the deep wounds of apartheid, to foster unity, and to ensure that all South Africans, regardless of race, had a place in their new nation. Nelson Mandela's journey is an epic narrative of personal sacrifice, unyielding courage, and strategic brilliance. It demonstrates that true leadership lies not just in wielding power, but in inspiring hope, in extending forgiveness, and an unwavering dedication to the highest ideals of justice and equality. His long walk to freedom was not just his own. It was a journey toward liberation for an entire nation, a beacon of human triumph that continues to shine brightly across the globe. From the profound individual courage of a leader like Nelson Mandela, we now shift our focus to a monumental intellectual and moral triumph born from collective human introspection. The creation of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Born from the ashes and devastation of World War II, this document stands as a testament to humanity's capacity to learn from its darkest moments and articulate a universal vision for dignity and freedom for all. Imagine the world in the immediate aftermath of World War II. The scale of human suffering, the atrocities committed, and the systematic denial of basic human dignity had shocked the global conscience. The existing international legal frameworks proved insufficient to prevent such horrors. There was a desperate, urgent need for a new moral compass, a set of principles that would transcend national borders and protect the inherent rights of every individual simply by virtue of their humanity. It was within this context of immense devastation, yet also profound hope for a better future, that the United Nations General Assembly began the arduous task of drafting what would become the UDHR. Imagine the conference rooms filled with delegates from diverse nations, cultures, and legal traditions, all grappling with the monumental challenge of defining what it means to be human and what fundamental rights should be universally recognized. This was not a simple task. It required immense intellectual rigor, diplomatic skill, and a shared commitment to a higher ideal. At the helm of the drafting committee was Eleanor Roosevelt, a woman of immense moral authority, diplomatic acumen, and unwavering determination. Imagine her leadership, navigating complex political landscapes, mediating between vastly different philosophical viewpoints, and tirelessly advocating for a document that would truly protect the vulnerable. Her role was crucial in ensuring that the Declaration was not merely a collection of vague ideals, but a practical and actionable statement of universal rights. She brought to the table not only her political experience, but also a deep empathy for human suffering. The process of drafting the UDHR was a remarkable exercise in global collaboration. Delegates from various countries, including China, Lebanon, France, the Soviet Union, and the United States, contributed their perspectives, drawing upon a rich tapestry of legal, philosophical, and religious traditions from around the world. Imagine the debates, the compromises, the careful crafting of each phrase to ensure universal applicability and cultural sensitivity. This was a deliberate effort to create a document that was truly global in scope, reflecting shared aspirations for justice rather than imposing a single cultural viewpoint. The result, adopted by the UN General Assembly on December 10, 1948, is a groundbreaking document comprising 30 articles. Picture these articles as powerful affirmations: the right to life, liberty, and security of person, freedom from slavery and torture, the right to freedom of opinion and expression, the right to education, work, and adequate living standards. Each article was a beacon, shining a light on a fundamental human entitlement. Born from centuries of struggle and the painful lessons of global conflict, the significance of the UDHR lies not in its legal enforceability at the time. It was proclaimed as a common standard of achievement. It's not a binding treaty, but in its immense moral authority and its foundational influence. Imagine its impact. It became the ethical blueprint for countless national constitutions, international treaties, and human rights laws that followed. It provided a powerful framework for human rights advocacy, empowering activists and ordinary citizens worldwide to demand that their governments uphold these universal standards. The UDHR fundamentally shifted the global discourse around human rights. No longer could a state claim that the treatment of its own citizens was purely an internal matter. The Declaration established that human rights were a legitimate concern of the entire international community. It provided a common language for justice, a shared set of ideals that transcended political ideologies and cultural differences. The triumph embodied by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is multifaceted. It represents the intellectual triumph of carefully articulating complex moral principles into a cohesive document. It signifies a moral triumph of global leaders, choosing compassion and justice over vengeance and despair after a devastating war. And it stands as a testament to the enduring human capacity for collective introspection and the profound impact of a shared vision for a more just and peaceful world. It reminds us that even after humanity's greatest failures, there lies an unwavering potential to rise, to learn, and to build enduring frameworks for a better future, guided by the light of universal dignity. From the intellectual and moral triumph of drafting universal principles for human dignity, we now journey to a tangible symbol of division that stood for decades, and its dramatic, its inspiring fall, the Berlin Wall in 1989. This event, a watershed moment in 20th century history, serves as a powerful testament to the unyielding human desire for liberty, the strength of peaceful protest, and the profound impact of a unified voice in dismantling even the most formidable barriers. Imagine a city brutally divided. For 28 years, from 1961 to 1989, the Berlin Wall stood as a concrete and barbed wire manifestation of the Cold War's ideological chasm. On one side lay West Berlin, a vibrant democratic outpost of capitalism. On the other, East Berlin, part of the German Democratic Republic, a communist state under Soviet influence. The wall wasn't just a physical barrier. It was a psychological scar, separating families, friends, and entire communities. Imagine the constant surveillance, the watchtowers, the armed guards, and the terrifying knowledge that any attempt to cross could mean imprisonment or death. Living under the shadow of this wall required a peculiar kind of resilience, a quiet determination to maintain hope despite overwhelming control. For decades, dissent in East Germany was suppressed, but beneath the surface, a yearning for freedom simmered. People risked everything to escape, often through daring and ingenious methods, underscoring the deep human need for liberty. But as the 1980s drew to a close, a new wave of courage began to emerge. Fueled by economic stagnation, increasing travel restrictions, and the inspiring reforms happening in other Soviet bloc nations, particularly in Hungary and Poland. Picture the citizens of East Germany, no longer content with quiet resignation. In cities like Leipzig, people began to gather for peaceful Monday demonstrations. Imagine thousands, then tens of thousands, walking through the streets with candles, their voices rising in chants for Reichsfreiheit and Wir sind das Volk. These were not violent riots, but solemn, determined processions, a powerful display of collective will against a heavily armed state. The courage required to participate in these protests was immense. The Stasi, East Germany's notorious secret police, had a long history of brutal repression. Yet the numbers grew, fueled by a shared desire for a different future. The government faced a dilemma. To suppress such massive, peaceful demonstrations with force would invite international condemnation and risked igniting an uncontrollable rebellion. To concede, however, would mean a loss of control. The moral clarity of the protesters' demands, combined with their unwavering commitment to nonviolence, put immense pressure on the regime. Then came the pivotal moment on November 9, 1989. In a somewhat confused press conference, a GDR official mistakenly announced that new regulations would allow citizens to cross the border immediately. Imagine the electric current that ran through East Berlin. People, initially cautiously, then in a flood, began to gather at the checkpoints along the wall. The border guards, overwhelmed and without clear orders to use force against the surging crowds, found themselves in an impossible position. Picture the scene at the Bornholmer Strasse crossing. Thousands of East Berliners, their faces etched with disbelief and hope, approaching the barriers. The guards, hesitant, then finally, irrevocably, lifted the boom. Imagine the sheer euphoria, the tears, the shouts of joy, as people flowed freely into West Berlin for the first time in nearly 3 decades. West Berliners, equally overjoyed, greeted them with cheers, champagne, and embraces. The image of people standing on the wall, chipping away at it with hammers and chisels, became an iconic symbol of freedom prevailing over oppression. The fall of the Berlin Wall was not an act of war or a military victory. It was a profound triumph of peaceful protest and collective unity. It demonstrated that even the most formidable symbols of division, backed by powerful states, could crumble under the weight of an unyielding popular will. It was a testament to the belief that the yearning for liberty is a universal human instinct that cannot be permanently suppressed. The aftermath was equally inspiring. The fall of the wall led directly to the reunification of Germany less than a year later, a healing of the historical wound that had scarred the nation. It also signaled the beginning of the end for communist regimes across Eastern Europe, ushering in an era of newfound freedoms and democracies. The story of the Berlin Wall's fall is a powerful reminder that fundamental change often comes not from above, but from the persistent, courageous actions of ordinary people. It highlights the profound courage of individuals who dared to voice their aspirations, the strength found in collective action, and the unexpected yet profound ability of people to reshape their own destiny, dismantling not only physical barriers, but the very ideologies that created them. It is a beacon of hope, reminding us that even in the face of overwhelming power, the human spirit, united in purpose, can ultimately prevail. As the echoes of the Berlin Wall's triumphant fall fade, and the inspiring stories of individuals and movements, striving for justice, settle in our minds, we are left with a profound reflection on the enduring power of the human spirit. We have journeyed through challenging landscapes, witnessing the quiet courage of civil rights activists, the unwavering resolve of Nelson Mandela, the profound moral foresight behind the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and the exhilarating unity that brought down a formidable symbol of division. These are not just tales from history's archives. They are living lessons, powerful reminders of what is possible when conviction meets action, when empathy triumphs over indifference, and when the human desire for dignity and freedom is unyielding. Each story in its unique way underscores a fundamental truth, that the pursuit of justice is a continuous journey, often fraught with obstacles, but always illuminated by the courage of those who refuse to give up. May these narratives of triumph inspire you to recognize the strength within yourself, to embrace the power of your own convictions, and to contribute, however subtly, to the ongoing story of human progress. The challenges of today, like those of yesterday, await our collective courage, our shared vision, and our unwavering commitment to a more just and compassionate world. Remember, even the smallest act of conviction can ripple outwards, contributing to a tapestry of change far grander than any single thread. That brings us to the end of another journey through the annals of inspirational history. We hope this story of triumph, resilience, and the enduring human spirit has left you feeling empowered and reflective. If you were moved by this tale, please like this video, subscribe to our channel for more journeys into the past, and comment below with your thoughts or any historical moments that inspire you. Your engagement helps us continue to share these powerful stories of human triumph.